This is Safe Weather meteorologist John Paul on a beautiful lower humidity day. The skies largely look to be bright with a few fair weather clouds. Very, very beautiful day. A calm that we have between storms that often occur. I wanted to talk today about a movie that I saw called Radio. In that movie there was a football coach, who told a story in one scene to his daughter during a very descriptive moment where the coach was explaining why he took care of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, who played a mentally disabled man. And in that description, he talked about a paper route that he had long before he became a football coach. He used to pass by this one house and noticed some young child like himself who was in a basement, and not remembering exactly how he described it, his description was this child was locked up, unable to do anything, was trapped in this basement of this house, reaching out for him, this young soon-to-be football coach. And as this character was describing to his daughter this story, he said that he wished that he could have done something. And he expressed regret in not ever doing anything to help. And I think at that moment the daughter understood that the reason why he expressed this was the same reason why he helped the character that the actor Cuba Gooding Jr. played, who was nicknamed Radio in that movie Radio. That was the reason why he did what he did at the expense of his family. A lot of time spending time with helping this young man when he could have been spending time with his daughter. This character that Cuba Gooding Jr. played had a condition that didn't say really what it was, other that he was not completely healthy. It reminds me of another scene that I had read in a Stephen King book. I don't remember the book. I read so many Stephen King books I couldn't even say which scene was from which book sometimes anymore. But the scene that I'm reminded of that describe this scene on Radio is about this one character in a Stephen King novel who had a sibling or a family member or something that was very untaken care of, very neglected, very externally not very attractive. Maybe it was the personality, maybe it was the appearance, maybe it was something having to do with this family member's sickness. There was a sickness that this family member had that they were, I don't know if it was, they actually mentioned that it was the chain, but this character that was being described, this family member in the Stephen King book, seemed to have a mental disability, some sort of mental health problem. And this child, this family member, was locked away in this room, unspoken of, kind of a taboo type of situation where no one knew about it, and no one wanted to know about it, and the people who were in that family knew it, and so this was like a secret of the family. So anyway, I forget the name of the story by Stephen King, but it kind of does touch on what I do at Safe Weather. In weather, people can be oppressed by the weather. They can be suffering because of the weather. And in the worst cases, they can wind up having a great sadness and form of mental illness, and even true mental illness due to the trauma from the weather severe that they experience. People like this, similar to that secret family member in the Stephen King book, and similar to that boy, that young child that the coach described in the movie Radio, was kind of locked away, needing help that young football coach at the time didn't offer, but later regretted. This is kind of where I am at Safe Weather. And I call people like this who are suffering, especially in a country like ours in America, where there's a great amount of finances, prosperity, means to fix the problem, to help people like this. People who are in a situation like this, I consider to be oppressed, troubled. The situation that I consider with weather, and even just mental health in general, they're, in some cases in this country, kind of like the most oppressed people out of all the oppressed in the world, only because the suffering that they experience, which is indeed great to the point of suicide, where many of them think that they are so troubled that they can't imagine any solution to it other than killing themselves. But it's further worsened by the fact that all around them there's great abundance and ability for people to do various things because of financial success, financial wealth, and yet these types of problems in the mental health are ignored. They're taboo. People don't like to talk about them. It's uncomfortable. This just makes a bad situation far much worse, and I call the people, whether it's someone who's oppressed by a mental problem that's caused by the weather, or just whether they have another reason for their troubles, I call them the oppressed of the oppressed. These people who choose to ignore these poor, sick people who are very troubled and come to the point of death. The people who have the means to help decide that they're not going to. And there's a place in the Bible that says not to stand on the blood of your neighbor. Basically, it means if you see someone in a dangerous position, you shouldn't stand around and let them die, let them become victim to that danger. Basically, it's a kind of a self-defense, a defending your neighbor kind of command. And this taboo is basically giving a real life example of what happens today. Now, obviously there are people who are very much treating it, who are in the medical profession, mental health professionals, doctors, and so forth, who obviously don't fall into this category. And obviously I'm not talking about those people. They're actually people that I am seeking to partner with to help those who are sad, those who are troubled beyond recognition, beyond description to some extent. But this taboo that we have, this choosing to ignore, this decision for bliss, this is the foundation that the opposition to my work rests upon. And it makes my job at Safe Weather well, let's just say it won't be easy. As we see, it's calm now. This weather is beautiful. We're getting ready here at Safe Weather for the next storm, knowing very well that the previous storms in the past have caused brand new storms to occur. They're ongoing now across the world and more closer to home across this country. People who have suffered from the Joplin tornado who are still troubled by it, and other weather catastrophes across wherever. These weather catastrophes have spawned all new storms, internal storms that are taken on the form of mental illness. And it's these storms that are raging right now, even in the midst of calm, and this is Safe Weather's job, not just to address these inner problems, but to also get ready for the next storm and the new problems that they will cause, including these inner sadness problems, these inner trouble problems of depression and other ailments from mental illness. This is Safe Weather's job. We see the danger. We see how people are suffering now. We see how people are probably going to suffer in the future. So we're trying our best to not stand on the blood of our neighbors, to not stand by and ignore them and let them die in their troubles. We're going to try to do something here at safeweather.wordpress.com. So, even though for me this is a Sabbath, a religious holiday for me as a person of faith, my work, it's so much part of me that even on my day of rest I can't escape it. And then I'm looking at my notes, pausing what I've written this morning because it's so much a concern of mine. This is a time for me to continue getting ready so I can get into this work that Safe Weather does, this work partnering with mental health professionals and other people within the psychological and the meteorological fields of work to form a cooperation, to form an organization that mixes the two and addresses the two, because you really can't separate them. You can't say that all these people from Myanmar on the other side of the world, former country of Burma, who suffered years ago and who are still suffering from reports that organizations that are charitable like Doctors Without Borders have said are causing post-traumatic stress, and some of them over there have been considering suicide, and then having further reports of suicide after the Joplin tornado, after Hurricane Katrina. You can't say that this type of occurrence isn't going to happen again, because it's been happening. And so combining the psychological and the meteorological together to try to work something out, probably even going to another field of expertise called education, the educational field, and partnering all together to try to educate people so that not only can we describe what's going on, and cross different fields of expertise where there is an obvious connection, where there's an obvious overlap, but overlap as well with the educational field, and begin speaking to this not just to those who are of the adult age group who are fully capable of understanding all this, who probably see this already, but since this is such a problem that seems like it's probably not going to go away, we want to get this ingrained into an educational system so we can begin teaching young people, grade school youth, in a way that they can understand. Not just your basic science class about what's a puffy cloud and what causes rain, but this is no longer a time for the taboo to remain taboo. This is what www.safeweather.wordpress.com is all about, trying to save life. It might not be a very comfortable topic to discuss, but knowing that people die, and I'm not aware of any field within meteorology, any specialization within meteorology that does this type of focus. This is something that I didn't always have. This is something that I can't claim credit for, this attention that I'm now giving to this, but it's certainly a need. So anyway, I'm going to talk more about this, whether in another video or write something a bit more structured and grammatical in a written blog. But in the meantime, I can't stay silent anymore. There's too many people who are dying, and as pretty as the skies are right now, I know that the skies aren't going to remain pretty, and the cycle is going to repeat itself. One generation's going to pass, another generation's going to rise up, and if I don't say something, we're going to go through this whole cycle again, and the sadness is never going to go away. I know that with attention and focus and cooperation, that we can defeat this enemy called mental illness. We can get a handle on it. We can gain victory over it so it doesn't override us. It doesn't conquer us. We can become super conquerors, I believe. And we don't have to be daily defeated by it. Even if it's a totally blue sky, I can tell you right now that there are weather tragedy survivors who are on the verge of death because of the weather that they experienced when the skies weren't so blue and beautiful as they are here with these nice puffy clouds. And at safeweather.wordpress.com, that's our mission. And if you'd like to join us, send a comment to this video. WordPress keeps it private. I screen it. And if you tell me you're here to partner with me by your comment, I'm going to keep your information that you share with me private so we can work together. If you want to be private, I'll keep you as anonymous as you'd like to be. But I need help with this. There's no way I can do this alone. I can certainly get the ball rolling, and that's what Safe Weather is about. This blog that WordPress is providing me with, the means for. It's totally a great opportunity that they've blessed me with, WordPress has. So I'm very grateful to WordPress for the opportunity to use their blog free of charge. So thank you, WordPress, for that. And anyway, I'm going to sign out now, but I pretty much said what I need to say. I'm going to begin downloading this short time so I can get this on the air on www.safeweather.wordpress.com. Happy Saturday. This is Saturday, August the 18th, 2012. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.